Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome to the commentary track for every episode of SpongeBob Season 9A Reviewed. So, this was a pretty crazy review for me to make because I did this in the shortest turnaround since the first three seasons. Um, I did the Season 8 review, came out in early October, and the Season 9A came out in late December. So we're talking October, November, December. We're talking 3 months, less than 3 months, time to work on this. So that was pretty crazy. I definitely did. I thought I'd be able to get it done faster than I was actually able to. I think I got sidetracked with a few other ideas for videos and stuff, and then towards the end of it, I was working on this like nonstop, like pretty much 24 hours around the clock, only sleeping in random patches in the middle of the day. I don't recommend this. My sleep schedule was awfully messed up, and I'm still trying to recover from it. But yeah, this was very intense. And right after I finished making this, right after, I got sick. I had like 101 fever. On the night into Christmas Eve was when I got that. So my plans for Christmas Eve and Christmas were all completely ruined. I had a miserable Christmas. I'm sitting here feeling like Christmas is almost here, like it's about to happen, because I didn't get really to have a Christmas, so I slept through most of it with a fever. So, but enough complaining from me on that. So yeah, so this video is sped up to be about 150 speed, if you're wondering, and I'll be cutting out a few parts if I have any lulls in the commentary, as I probably will. This is my second time recording the commentary. I tried to do it like a week ago, but I was still too sick and I sounded miserable, and I was just mumbling the whole time. And all right, so anyway, on to the video itself. I'd never done a half season, so I really didn't know exactly how much time it would take me. And when I say half season, it's technically 20 out of 49, so it's much less than half. But yeah, I had no idea if it would take me, like, obviously it was going to take me shorter than the regular season, but how much shorter? I mean, it still took quite a bit of time. But the biggest roadblock in doing this season, and I'm going to talk about this at length, but the biggest roadblock was a lot of the same roadblock that I had with the Season 8 video, in that a lot of these episodes are just not that interesting to talk about, you know? When I did Season 6 and 7, and even 5 to an extent, there were these episodes that were just really bad, and episodes even that were really good when it came to Season 5 especially, and some in 6 and 7. And there were episodes that were even middle of the road, but interestingly middle of the road, interesting good parts and bad parts about it. There was a lot to talk about there. There was a lot to talk about in Season 4, because it was a transitional season, even though that was also meh. But when it came to Season 8 and the first part of this season, there's just not too much to talk about in terms of the individual episodes. And when I don't have that strong an opinion, it's just hard to come up with stuff to talk about, and I don't feel as fired up to get the video out. Like, obviously I want this video out, I want to be done, I want to get my opinion out there, I want to progress in the project. But when there's episodes that are as bad as Truth or Square and Atlantis Square and as I see on the screen there. No, but when you have episodes that are that bad, but not just like one or two in the season, but a lot of them, I'm like anxious to get out and talk about them. But with this season, they're really, save for the obvious one, SpongeBob, you're fired. There really wasn't that many that I was like, oh man, I'm so excited to talk about this. Like Plankton's Pet, I was, and I was kind of excited to talk about Little Yellow Book and kind of Squid Baby, I guess. But like, I just, there wasn't that much to be passionate about talking about. It's not that the season is the half season. When I say this season, just I'm talking about 9A. I have not started working on 9B, so Um, but everything I watched for this video, a lot of it was just meh, and meh in a way that was hard to talk about, so I ended up not being entirely happy with how this video came out. Like, I'm confident in my opinion, I'm confident in my arguments, but I'm not super confident in the way I chose to express them in this video. I wish I could have just, I don't know, rephrased things. I feel like I repeat myself a lot. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I could just explain things better. But it is what it is. And if you're wondering why didn't I just re-record? Well, I did re-record a few times, and there's a certain point at which you just kind of have to say okay and move on in the progress of the project. And it's also one of those things where once you've heard your review 100 times, well, I didn't hear them 100 times, but once you've heard it, like, I'd probably heard each review about 15 times over the course of audio editing, and then editing the video and checking and checking and checking. By the time you've heard it that many times, I couldn't even tell you if these were like good reviews or bad reviews or repetitive or whatever. But the only one that I was really, really proud of was definitely the SpongeBob You're Fired one, because I did feel very passionate about that, and I did feel like I was able to pinpoint exactly what was wrong there, and why it was just such an awful special. Um, I mean, there were interesting things to talk about with this season, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but a lot of the interesting things are things that surround the whole season, but not necessarily things I could talk about in each episode, like the HD thing. That I felt like that was more important to address up front and then mention it in the episodes where it really shined, rather than mention in every single episode, like, oh, by the way, this is an HD, because that would be repetitive and tedious. Things like that. There's also the writers changing, which I am going to talk about in 9B, because I think that's more when that happened. But there's stuff like that, but not stuff for these individual episodes. It's like I say at the end, really, 9A as well as most of 8, it's sanitized. It's like no risk, but also not many bad things. They removed the bad things, but they didn't replace it with interesting things yet. I'm still waiting for that. Maybe 9B will do that. I hope so. But episodes like Squirrel Record, like, it's okay. It's textbook okay. Um, as I'm getting worked up about this. So yeah, so that was the biggest challenge, and it was hard to work through putting PyCons on these reviews that I'm like, I'm constantly feeling like I should go back and re-record it and rework on it and redo it, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough. But at the end of the day, I had to get it out, and I don't know if there's also such a thing as overworking it. Like, trying so hard to nail it perfectly that what you end up doing is scrapping a bunch of really good attempts, and you're never going to reach that perfect attempt. And it's the whole, if you're a critic, you're either incredibly hard on yourself, or you just don't you're not able to take criticism. And I think I'm definitely the variety that can take criticism, but also is way too critical of himself. So yeah. All right, so that's my diatribe. I'm sorry if that was too negative or whatever. With 9B, I'm really gonna take my time, and I'm gonna try and nail it, and hopefully the material will be interesting. I don't want to blame it all on the material, but a lot of my struggles with this was just that the material just lacking. If you had given to me, if you had said on Twitter, like, hey, Pie Guy, you gotta check out Seance Schmeance, you gotta give it a review, I'd watch it and be like, it's okay. There's my review. Doesn't deserve any further discussing. All right. So anyway, I guess I'll talk about the slide layout. So I knew I wanted to do Karen for a while because, believe it or not, Karen has appeared more often than Mrs. Puff. Of the secondary SpongeBob characters, really you have Mrs. Puff, Karen, and Pearl are the three big ones. There really aren't many others. Once you're past those three, aside from Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, they're secondary characters who don't appear quite as much as, like, Mrs. Puff or Karen, but they have episodes specifically dedicated to them, like a lot of episodes dedicated to them, so I felt like it was more important to include them beforehand. And I've already talked about how I included them because I wanted them to be in a season where there was a Mermaid Man episode. That was before I learned, that was before season 10 was out, but and there was Mermaid Pants, but So anyway, I wanted to do Karen because yeah, she appeared more often than Mrs. Puff and definitely Pearl. Um, and beyond those three, you get into like really tertiary characters like Larry the Lobster and SpongeBob's parents. Uh, so anyway, so I want to do Karen, but I couldn't really think of what exactly I want to do for the layout. Like, was I gonna do like have her console? Like I knew she was gonna be the header. I thought that made sense to have her display the title. But what was I gonna do for the stuff on the bottom? I thought, okay, well I'd have her command console be like in the middle, and the highlight could be on that, or the picture could be on that, and I could have the scanner, the scanner that scans Krabby Patties. Well, theoretically scans Krabby Patties. That could have the quote on it, or that could have the picture on it, or whatever. But I couldn't think of four things that I could attribute to Karen, really. So I kind of scrapped that idea, and I thought maybe what if I were to just make it the wall? The wall of the chum bucket has these metal plates that like all of the technology in SpongeBob is made out of inexplicably. I don't know why. Maybe the thought is that they're like parts of a ship that have sunken down that the sea creatures have repurposed. But anyway, I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I try it, and I think it looked really good. And the way I did it, I was able to basically give myself as much room for each part as I needed. Originally, originally the quote had a lot more space. All those lines on the bottom there were moved over to the left. And the fun fact ended up being really squished, and the quote ended up having way too much space. After I had inputted all the quotes and stuff, I was like, you know what? I don't need this much room, and the fun fact needs more room. So I pushed all the lines over to the right. I kept the highlight in the same space, but I gave the fun fact and I gave the picture more space in the frame there, like a bigger area. So so I was able to adjust it easier than if I had done like what I did in previous seasons, where like it was on top of a snail shell or a chum bucket, where I was kind of limited in what space I had. So I thought, that was really cool. It's also, the background is not a gradient and it's not a solid color either. I tried to stylize it like they have in the show. In the show, it's painted where there's kind of like smear lines of paint. It's hard to emulate, I guess, but I basically just smeared some lines, some like lighter colors and darker colors. I used the dodge and burn tool and then smeared it. And if you look closely, you can see that. So, that's a commercial break. If you were wondering what those black things are, sometimes you don't get commercials, or if you have ad block or whatever, you might not know. But that's what those are. I screwed that up in the season 8 video pretty badly. Those fades to black were there. It was like a second long, and then it came back, and I wasn't able to put the ad in the right time, so I made sure to give it a few seconds of blackness there. Anyway, so yeah, that's what the background is. One of the challenges with doing Karen's face for the header was that she's not how do I say this? She's more square than rectangular. I mean, she is rectangular, but she's closer to a square than like being just an HD TV. She's not an HD TV in the show. She's just kind of a monitor that's a little longer than she is wider. Typically, when I do headers, they're long and they take up like the very top of the screen, which leaves me plenty of space for the other stuff. But because Karen's shape, I cheated her a little bit in making her a little bit thicker and a little bit shorter. But there was only so much I could cheat before it didn't look like Karen anymore. So I basically just kind of said, well, if the title is like, it's too many words, I'll space it out horizontally. I'll make multiple lines, and that's what I ended up doing. And luckily I don't think this season has any ridiculous, the monster that came, or what is it? The Krabby Patty that ate Bikini Bottom, ridiculous long titles. No, I don't think any of them have really long ones. Oh, there's the SpongeBob transition. I can talk about that. So after season 8's was very minimal and very obtuse, no one could figure out what it was from. I wanted to make sure season 9A's was very in your face and very obvious where it came from. It comes from it came from Bikini Bottom, right? Wait, no. It came from Goo Lagoon is the name of the episode. That's where it comes from. It's the big ball, and I was like, I'll have it spin and smear the the slide, and I think it came out pretty well. It's nothing super advanced. I have never claimed to be an expert at After Effects. I am definitely not. Uh, so I don't want anyone thinking like, oh man, he's bragging about this. But for someone who doesn't really know what they're doing, I think it came out pretty okay looking. I'll talk about it more once it pops up again. Let's see. So in addition to cheating Karen a little bit in her size, I cheated the thing next to her. In the show, that little box is like much further down and has a longer connecting wire. Originally, Karen wasn't in 3D. She was just a box. I didn't have that little piece there to the left and the bottom that indicates depth. Originally, she was just a box, but I decided when I went back to change the lines on the bottom there, I was like, what the heck? Why don't I try it and see what she looks like with a little bit of dimension? And she looked good, man. So I was like, I better go with it. And I had to change the box on the side of her too. One of the cool things about the scum frame there is that it has shading, which I got from shading and a little bit of texture. I mean, they all have texture, but I think this was the first one that I did that really had shading, and I think it looks pretty dang good. There's also scum in back of some of the text. Also, if you look at the diary there, Dear Diary, when Pie Guy gives me a bad review, I begin to ooze green slime. That was a last-minute addition. Not last minute, but that was a late addition, I should say. Originally, the scum picture for that was just the lock off the book. That was it. The book was closed. And then I was like looking at it, I'm like, man, that's really lame. I shouldn't do this. I should, because if you don't know, my artist draws the pictures, and I do a lot of the SpongeBob versions of the pictures by just altering things in Photoshop. Yeah, the lock is basically just a mirrored version of the lock that as it was on the book. But yeah, I was like, I gotta see what I can do if I can open up this book and write something silly inside. And I copied the cover of the book, the shape of it, and then made it into a page and made it into an outer cover. Just through copying and mirroring. That's how I do art, man. Lazy. Not lazy, untalented. How about that? But anyway, I decided I wanted to do something silly in there, and I was like, what can I say? And so there you go. That's the best I could come up with. I couldn't remember. Excuse me. I couldn't remember if SpongeBob wrote in cursive or in like bad handwriting. So I just kind of went with something that was vaguely cursive. I don't know why I didn't go back and look. I really should have gone back and looked. Maybe they don't show the diary in the episode. I feel like at multiple points in the series, I know SpongeBob has been shown to have like beautiful calligraphy, but I could swear there's also times where he has like kindergartner writing, or maybe I'm thinking of Patrick. For the airing order there, you'll notice that I actually put the words airing order up above that 8 out of 49 there, because people kept asking me, like, what's that fraction up in the upper right-hand corner? And, when I first implemented it, because that wasn't there from the beginning, I started doing that in Season 3, and I said it at the beginning of the Season 3 review, and I may have said it at the beginning of Season 4 as well, but at some point I stopped mentioning it, and I can see how people would be confused. I definitely understand, because it's not necessarily obvious. But, so I decided to just bite the bullet and put airing order up there to see if, to hopefully that minimized some of the comments about that, some of the confusion. And I also put 9A on there. I know what I want to do for the 9B slide. Well, not exactly, but I have ideas. I know roughly what I'm going to do. But regardless of what I end up doing, I knew I wanted to put 9A on there somewhere, just so we could know if that's 9A and then the other one's 9B. Oh, I like the idea of putting the older episodes on Karen's monitor. That was actually a relatively late addition. For a while, the slides just popped up on the bottom like they did in the other season videos. But as I was doing that, I was like, you know what? I think this would look better on the monitor, showing the whole slide, so you could see the rating, see the title, see everything, and have Karen's monitor work as an actual monitor there. And yeah, so I did that, but it took a lot more of a pain in the butt than I expected it to be, because I thought I was just pop those pictures up there over everything, but in order to make it look good, I had to get rid of like all the I mean, I couldn't just put a picture up. I couldn't just put the slide up there because some of the text was still showing for some of the stuff, and Karen's line in her mouth line there would have shown like there. So I had to basically just create a black mask that I put over it, faded over it, and then I put the slide on top of it. And yeah, it wasn't. It's not. I'm not saying that it's like a hard thing to do. It was just a little more work than I was expecting. A little more. Let's see here. Ugh, this episode. Man, I really wish this was a good episode. I wanted to like it so badly. So badly. Uh oh, I don't know if I ever commented on this before or if it's well, I'm sure it's noticeable, but whenever I do the SpongeBob transition now, I have my face, have the PyCon there be covered in green for like a second and fade it out. Just a minor touch I started doing in, oh gosh, what, season 7, season 8, one of them. No, definitely, I'm pretty sure season 7 or before, maybe season 6 even. But yeah, a small touch that I just think looks cool. One of the cool things about doing the 9A video as soon after the season 8 video was that I was able to just go back into the season 8 project and just reuse some stuff that I did for season 8, because basically the way editing software works, it gets updated frequently, and older versions don't always work too well with newer versions. And beyond that, though, part of the problem is that like files get moved around on my computer sometimes. Certain things get deleted because they take up too much space, and other things just get moved accidentally or something. So if I go to open an older file, like if I were to go open the season 7 file, season 6, it'll have some stuff missing, and some stuff will be kind of outdated and stuff. But because the season 8 video came out so soon, I was able to just open it up and just reuse some of the stuff. So like the I guess like the level of audio that those sound effects, the SpongeBob sounds, or the rating sounds, that's just copied from last season. Oh, there's the new PyCon. That's one of, I believe, 2 appearances of it. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it was cool. I was able to do that. I was able to take some stuff. I could save some time importing because a lot of the stuff was just already in the project. I could just copy and paste it. So that saved me a little bit of time there. So that PyCon, it is referencing a certain face that SpongeBob makes in a certain episode. I won't say exactly which, but I think a lot of people got the reference. I was like, that face was from an episode that I had recently watched for a discussion I did with Nathaniel Bandy, and I watched the episode, and I'm like, well, I know I need at least one new PyCon for the 9A video. And so I went to my artist, and she gave me a version where I looked a lot more like SpongeBob, but it was kind of creepy. Like I had the buck teeth and I think his eyelashes or whatever. I don't know. I looked a little weird. My face might work in Squidward form, and Mr. Krabs works because it's just the money eyes and the nose. But if I try to make myself look like SpongeBob, it looks weird. Anyway, I got rid of the teeth and kind of toned it down a little bit, I guess. And some people were creeped out by it. Other people definitely got a kick out of it. I could tell that it wasn't one of those faces that I wanted to overuse. It's definitely one of those that I needed to use at key points and for very specific, intonations. So, yeah. So it only appears there and in SpongeBob You're Fired, I believe. Maybe it appears one more time. I don't know. It came from Goo Lagoon. I'm happy with how this slide came out. One of the things that I had a little trouble with was, so the idea, if it's not obvious, is that it's supposed to be goo floating. It's like a wave, basically. You're looking straight down at a wave, and the goo is floating on top of it, and there's some goo that's washed up on the shore. But the problem is that it also kind of looks like it's mountains of sand. Like you're looking at it just from straight on, and it's just hills of sand, and the goo is floating up in the sky. Either interpretation kind of works. I decided to put like a little foam, a little white foam there in between the wave, just to make it look more like a wave. Let me know in the comments if you got that this was a wave and not the sky. But yeah, I mean, either way it works because they float on either one. I tried to make the balls on the land be a little more three-dimensional with a bevel effect, but looking at it now, I could have done a better job with that. Also, yeah, those purple lines look a little weird with the outline there on the quote. Oh well. Since I had used the blobs for the SpongeBob transition and for like basically everything on that slide, I decided to go with Bubble Man for the picture. Even though the goo ball probably would have been more representative of the episode, you know, I didn't want to use it too much there. So yes. Safe deposit Krabs. So I tweeted after the video went up, there were 2 episodes that surprised me that people seem to really like. This Safe Deposit Krabs and Patrick Man. Now with Patrick Man, I was surprised because a lot of people really hate Patrick, especially on the internet. But I can see where people are coming from. Like I say, it's one of those things you either find him charming in the episode or just kind of like annoyingly stupid. I find him annoying, but I can see how people find him charming. I get it. This episode though, I don't get the love for it at all. I can't imagine it. Not I'm sure people have their reasons. I have yet to see a good one in my opinion because it's just so boring. Like I can understand why people might find it like an okay episode, but to find it a good episode, that really surprises me. But I'm sure people have their reasons out there. Being sick for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, and with it being the holidays as well, I've kind of taken some time off to rest up and to spend the little bit of time that I wasn't sick with my family. So I honestly have not looked too much at the comments of the 9A video yet. It's also getting to the point where I'm getting a lot of comments on a lot of videos and it's hard to keep up. So yeah, but anyway, I'm sure people have their reasons. It's just not an episode that I like at all. If you look very closely, the bank says bottom bank and the windows are smashed in. I was at a loss for what to do with the SpongeBob picture on this one. I really was. Like, I could have made like a hole in the wall with money bursting out. Maybe that would have been a good idea. I don't know. But yeah, that's the best I could come up with there. Bottom bank. I knew when I did Plankton's Pet here, I wanted to do something with the amoeba, having him like, grow in size or having him be like comedically small. Like I was originally gonna just have him be really small in the picture there, but I wanted people to be able to see it. So I was like, oh, I'll have the best of both worlds. I'll have him start off small and grow like he does in the episode. And in hindsight, I wish I had mentioned something in the audio, said something like, "Hey, where's the picture? Oh, there it is." But I didn't, and yeah. I wish I had done that. Holy plot twist, it's a Krabby Patty. The observation that I made about how my favorite episodes this season, well, the half season, thus far this season, were mostly Plankton-centric episodes that did something different with stealing the formula. Either it wasn't about stealing the formula, well, yeah, I mean, it came from Goo Lagoon was about stealing the formula, but it was more emphasis was focused on the goo blob and the chase and the weapon and stuff. Plankton's Pet, of course, being about what was that again? Oh yeah, Plankton's Pet. Jailbreak being about jailbreak. It was cool. That was a late observation I had made. Originally it was just gonna be like the one note about the continuity references and stuff, but I saw that and I'm like, wow, yeah, it really is true. A lot of people consider him the best character on the show, or the one that was changed the least, and I definitely agree. He's one of the best, and one of the best parts of the later seasons. Along with Karen. She is not an invention from the later seasons. She was in the first 3, but she made, I believe, a total of like 6 appearances in the 3 seasons. And since then, she's made something like 30 or 40 or 50 appearances. Like, she's made a lot. There were a lot of episodes where she doesn't actually do too much, and unfortunately this season, and I mean the season as a whole, she doesn't actually do too much. She gets a featured episode much later on, one of the last episodes of the season, what is it, Salsa Imbesalis. Um, she's featured pretty prominently there, but otherwise she's kind of relegated to cameos and minor appearances. But she's still there. She's in there. If I passed it, and I think we did, Jailbreak, I misspelled jailbreak. I put an extra L in there in the title. In my defense, jailbreak isn't a very common word. I don't even know if it is technically a real word in the dictionary, but yeah, I misspelled it. What are you gonna do? I'll fix it for any future references, I suppose. There's also one episode where I for one of the text I spelt it loose instead of lose. I put an extra O in there, and that's an unfortunate thing because the spell checker wouldn't catch that. So I do check this stuff, and I thoroughly check it, but I have resigned myself that there will always be spelling mistakes. I have accepted that basic fact, no matter how much I check. Even when I had Patreon people checking for the last season, there was still at least one or two spelling mistakes or little errors. Always ghosts with this show. They could tell a really cool like mummy episode or have like a weird vampire fish or something. They could just do something other than ghosts. And it does stand a reason why haven't they done a Ghostbusters parody? You know, they've referenced Ghostbusters a few times. You know, Mr. Krabs says he's like ain't afraid of no ghosts in one of the episodes. I think the one with the invisible paint. Oh no, my bad memory is showing. You know, but they referenced that they had like the vacuum pack. The vacuum packs in Ghoul Fools. Yeah, they should just do a Ghostbusters episode. I'd be down for it. Have it be with Sandy and Karen and Pearl. So this is one of the episodes that I had seen. I saw it. It was in front of the Kids' Choice Awards. I was watching the KCAs that year, and I was like, it's on. Might as well watch it. And yeah, my reaction then was like what my reaction is kind of now, in that it's just okay. Like it's not bad. It's not good either. It's okay. See, now it's showing. You know, I had a hard time coming up with stuff to say about the episodes while reviewing them, and I'm having a hard time coming up with stuff to say about the episodes now. And that's just one of the challenges of reviewing every episode of something, because I don't really have the option to just say pass. You know, I have to review it, even if it is a simple review. And, you know, sometimes I do just go with a simple, you know, this episode is average, this episode is good, this episode is bad. Sometimes that's all I can really muster. Oh, before anyone says anything about this Yeti crab, that butt is as pronounced as it is in the episode. All right? People were given flack about Karen 2.0's booty, but that crab butt is as is in the episode. My artist did not embellish that. She got a good kick out of everyone. Everyone's comments about Karen 2.0 though. Yeah, man. This episode, it's like it reminds me of what is it? Gullible Pants and SpongeBob Round Pants. Is that the name of that episode? Or oh no, just to SquarePants or not to SquarePants. It reminds me of those episodes in that it's just another episode that just takes place at the Krusty Krab. A lot of the same stuff is happening again and again, and it's like inoffensive. I don't. Did I give either of those episodes a ScumBob? I don't even remember. But this episode anyway, it's inoffensive. It's not bad, but I would not call it good. It's like yeah. Yeah, good idea to do a commentary about the season that you already struggled to find things to talk about. I'm pretty sure though that 9B will give me more material to talk about from what I've seen. I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping. At this point, it has been a few months since I've actually seen it, so yeah. SpongeBob, you're fired. This one. I hope you guys like this layout. The slide layout for this. It took my artist had a a difficult time. She said there was a lot of buildings this season that I made her draw. Um, and I guess that's true because there's these four, plus the shack, the ribeye shack, plus the bank. Um, but anyway, I think she did a great job with these pictures here, and I had a lot of fun finding places to put the text on these and stuff. Um, I, I I tried to put the slide pictures inside the pizza, and it doesn't look very good. It's not cropped exactly. It's just kind of sort of cropped. Again, it was one of the last things I did, so I didn't. I was running out of time, and I don't know. There was no good place to put the pictures because I had done it on Karen's screen. So it'd be kind of weird to have them just pop up from the bottom. But I guess I could have done that. Eh. And those are in the order that they are in the episode. I was originally gonna put the pizza building one more to the right and have the Krabby Patty Man standing in the pizza, but wanted to go with what made sense for the episode. I'll go with accuracy. I couldn't think of what to put the air date and the 9A and the airing order thing in, so I'm like, why don't I just do like a pink slip? But I had a pink rectangle up there, and I'm like, it's not obvious what this is, so I just wrote pink slip up at the top. There you go. But this episode, so bad, so bad. I really, really am not exaggerating when I tell you that I think it is one of the worst. I think it is. It just, there's so many rookie mistakes that I would not expect from a show that's been on the air for how many years? What, like 17, 18, 18 now, 18 technically. Yeah, like just bad storytelling. I really hope that at some point in the future, in like 50 years when the show is finally over, I hope that the people behind this show, the people working on this show, are able to write like a tell-all book or be in like a documentary that really tells us what went on behind the scenes at SpongeBob, because there is executive meddling by Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon has a huge hand in what happens on SpongeBob, but I would love to hear specifically exactly what they've done over the years. How much tweaking do they do to every episode? How much input do they have on the writers? How much, did they come up with this idea, or did they say you have to do something that's just, catchy? Or did they specifically say you got to do an episode about SpongeBob being fired? I would love to find out, but unfortunately, Nickelodeon is very secretive, of course, for obvious reasons, especially the way they treat their creators. But I would love for something to come out at some point. Hopefully after everyone's careers are already done and they don't have to worry about their reputation, after any NDAs have expired, if they can expire. I would really love to hear the true story of SpongeBob and what it was like to work on this show, because I mean, like, it is Nickelodeon's lifeblood, so of course the company is going to want a big say in what happens to it. But yeah, I like the Krabby Patty Man there. In addition to giving him weirdly shaped bite marks, I wish bite marks don't look like that. They should be thinner, I suppose. Not thinner, less deep. And there's a slide that I couldn't figure out where to put since I covered it up. I covered up the pizza. Anyway, I gave him weirdly shaped bite marks, and I changed his eyebrows from angry to surprised, which I like even more knowing it's Squidward. Yeah, Squidward. So yeah, there you go. That's all those reviews down for 9A. Yeah, 9B should be interesting. I know it'll definitely, well, I hope it'll be interesting, I should say. It will be cool doing doing a season which I've kind of already started. Hopefully that saves me at least a little bit of time. Anyway, look at some of the stuff on here that I did. I gave the Bubble Man. Oh, it went by. Never mind. It comes back. I gave the Bubble Man Patrick Man's underwear. There's also a standoff going on between. You'll see. Yeah, there we go. Between Krabby Patty Man and Yeti Crab. which hey, those bite marks mysteriously appeared. And that crab looks pretty menacing and ravenous. But you can't rule out the fact that Spot is over there on the S, just chilling. You don't know. Maybe he took those bites. Um, yeah, I thought it was a good idea to do the half season, have all the pictures be on the left there. It's the left half of the screen. The text is moved over to the right a bit, but to cheat it, but all the pictures are on the left half of the screen there. And surprise of all surprises, for 9B, they'll all be on the right side. And I'm thinking, I'm considering this. I'm probably gonna do this, but it's not a promise. But I think once I'm gonna release 9B, and then maybe a few weeks later or a month later, I'll do like a director's cut where I'll edit together 9A and 9B, and I'll edit out like references to 9B being a separate video. Maybe just like a few lines that I say like, oh, in 9B I'll do this or whatever, just to make it make a little more sense. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe not. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think that's a good idea? Decided to mix things up a little bit and have the slides be inside Karen's monitor for the ending, just to vary it up visually instead of just having the slides cover the whole screen. It also kind of has like a cool like looking back sort of vibe to it. But yeah, man, there's 49 episodes in the season. I can't imagine how much of a pain it would be if I had to review all of it at once. Season 9 would definitely not be out for another like year. Anyway, so with that, I hope you enjoyed this commentary. PIEGUYRULZ out.